Elite Facts presents
10 things you do that are actually illegal.
10.
Connecting to unsecured Wi-Fi networks. It's something we all no doubt use on a daily basis when we turn on our laptops, phones, game consoles, and even the television. Whether we like it or not, Wi-Fi is something we simply need throughout the day. Most people would have noticed while connecting to Wi-Fi, as well as your own network, several others show up on the list. But what happens if you select an unsecure network? Well, for starters, it's not secure, and secondly, it could get you in some serious trouble with the law. Throughout the United States, there are various federal and state laws in place saying that it's illegal for people to connect to another Wi-Fi network unless they have the correct authorization. Although we've probably all done it before, as using someone else's Wi-Fi is very common, the law is barely enforced, maybe due to it not being a top priority or possibly because it's hard to detect illegal use. Despite the lack of enforcement towards the law, people have still been arrested for it. A man from Florida was arrested and charged with unauthorized access to a computer network, which is a third-degree felony. In Florida, a third-degree felony is punishable by up to 5 years in prison, 5 years probation, and a $5,000 fine. So maybe stick with your own Wi-Fi from now on, as this is one piggyback ride not worth taking.
9.
Sampling food at the supermarket. Have you ever gone grocery shopping and upon seeing, a nice bunch of grapes just sitting there, decided to pluck a couple from the bag? Come on, don't be shy, we've all done it before, right? Well, if you were or still are one of those people, you could be in trouble for theft. Of course, there will be times when customers are caught doing this, but simply play it off as testing the grapes before buying them. Understandably, this isn't too bad of an argument for fruit, but think about it. You wouldn't do this with a carton of milk or some bread from the bakery, and especially not with any meat. Imagine as you're wandering around the store, you witness a customer open up a packet of meat, sampling a slice to see if they like it or not, then placing it back on the shelf for someone else to take. Not only would it be disgusting, it would be a germaphobe's worst nightmare. According to the National Association for Shoplifting Prevention, this kind of behavior is classed as stealing. So use that as food for thought next time you're out shopping, and leave the poor food alone.
8.
Writing disturbing material. Between the ages of 16 to 24, you probably went through a phase of wanting to write or create strange or dark stories, and maybe still do. So how's that zombie novel going? In all seriousness though, even if writing and creating isn't your forte, there's surely a piece of unusual dark literature you just have left behind somewhere, maybe in a blog or a Facebook post or even an online site such as Creepypasta. We bet it was some weird ghost experience you had or some moody lyrics you wrote back in your emo phase. Well, if this sounds like something you may have done, you might want to hunt out the copies of this stuff and hope that no one finds what you've written disturbing, because that previously mentioned emo phase might be breaking the law. Throughout several states, there are laws that actually make it illegal to write things that could freak other people out. But what if it's private writing? Well, that doesn't matter either. If someone reads something you wrote and subsequently finds it soul poisoning, you could face up to 30 days in jail and a hefty $1,500 fine. In one case, a man from Kentucky had written about a fictional military attack, which resulted in a second-degree felony charge and classed as making terrorist threats. And be careful if you're in Oklahoma, because if you create a completely made-up story wherein a person gets injured or killed, you can get arrested for planning to cause serious bodily harm, where the maximum penalty could be 10 years in prison.
7.
Betting with friends. Again, this is something most of us have done. You're having a casual drink with some friends, either at home or the local bar, naturally discussing life such as work, cars, family, and why your girlfriend shouted Steve Buscemi during sex last week. Moving on. During this time, you notice the game playing on the TV, and speaking to your buddies, you throw a bet down that the defending team will definitely make the next basket. Unfortunately for you, they don't, but you continue to throw the bets down again and again, upping the ante each time. By the end of what should have been a pretty great night, you're down by at least $2,000. Angry at your losses, you take your leave when suddenly a SWAT team storms the place, pushes you to the ground and cuffs you. It may seem pretty extreme and unlikely to happen, but all those bets you made violated the Illegal Gambling Act of 1970. According to the IGA, any betting that goes against state or local law involves 5 or more people and has a revenue of at least $2,000 in one day constitutes an illegal gambling operation, punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Oh, and just for reference, the SWAT team scenario you thought was made up really happened. Back in 2005, a cop in Virginia overheard a man named Sal Colosi in a bar betting with his friends on college football. The cop befriended Colosi and over the next couple of months led him to raise the stakes, until one day Colosi crossed the $2,000 mark. One day a SWAT team arrived at his doorstep to arrest him and he was accidentally shot through the heart.
6.
Singing happy birthday in public. If you remember your birthday parties when you were younger, you probably have fond memories of arcade games, pizza, 10-pin bowling, and all of your friends serenading you with happy birthday. Okay, so it may not have been amazing, but it could have been a lot worse. Imagine a subpoena being handed to your parents, asking them to appear in court for being part of a public performance of Happy Birthday, which, as it turns out, is totally illegal. Why, you might ask? Well, that's because it's copyrighted by Time Warner. Copyright usually only affects people who are singing the song while attempting to make profit from it. For example, that lady who was hired to jump out of your cake that year. However, the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers have demanded that even the Girl Scouts pay royalties for Happy Birthday, among other songs they sing around the campfire, even without a cake stripper or paying customer in attendance. Don't worry though, the song can still be used within the comfort of your own home, and you can most likely use it in public, assuming you're not being filmed for TV or something. If you wanted to be really safe, you could always devise your own lyrics for the song. Of course, if you're anything like most small business owners, you'll find it easier to pay up, as they really don't want to face Time Warner in court. The royalties are received so often that the song garners a solid $2 million a year.
5.
Using a fake name online. The popular TV show Catfish is a great example of how using fake names, information, or photos online can get you into a bunch of trouble, as well as causing pain to others who may have been involved. Sadly, this is one of those things that many internet users have done throughout the years, maybe not to catfish someone, but to try and protect their identity, or something as simple as a joke. However, when you use false information to gain access anywhere on the internet, it's classed as being illegal. If you refer to the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, it will tell you that gaining access to a website using false information in a way its owner didn't authorize is considered hacking, and yes, that can get you arrested. The penalty? A 5 to 20-year prison sentence. One man in Rhode Island found out how serious this can be when he decided to create a fake Facebook account of his boss. It wasn't used for any kind of fraud or to post updates about his boss's love of Sex of the City. It just simply existed. Of course, when this was found out, he was convicted of using fraudulent information and had to pay $500 to the victim's indemnity fund.
4.
Ad blockers. We can all vouch for how annoying ads are, whether it be for the ads before nearly every video here on YouTube, pop-ups on a website you're browsing, or ad breaks during your favorite TV show. The internet is full of the things, and most users hate having to view websites only to be greeted with this pesky advertisements and pop-ups that come with it. The answer to all of your internet ad problems would be ad blocking software, which gets rid of pretty much every trace of the things and creates many benefits for the user, such as a faster loading speed. As great as ad blockers are, they're still illegal. It's near impossible to enforce a law like this due to the vast amount of people around the globe who use such software, but for some websites, this is a major downfall as they rely on the advertisements for profit, and the ad blockers make it so users can view a website for free. As a result of ad blocking software, advertisers can lose billions of dollars in revenue.
3.
Creating memes and saving images. Okay, calm down, we're not telling you to stop creating them, we're simply advising that it could possibly be an illegal action when doing so, but only when using copyrighted images. So next time you're creating a fun meme to share with your friends, remember, unless the picture or video is in the public domain, it's illegal to use without permission from the owner. The term fair use may be something you have heard in passing or seen online, and is definitely a good one to keep in mind. According to the Supreme Court, fair use enables copyrighted imagery to be used without the permission of its original owner, but as long as its purpose is that of either commentary, teaching, criticism, or reporting. However, memes are so well known and used now that it's pretty unlikely you'll ever get in trouble over creating or sharing one, so knock yourselves out.
2,
Owning a Sharpie or permanent marker. This may seem like something we've just made up, as Sharpies and permanent markers are just standard things we keep around the house, right? Unfortunately, it is true. Thanks to anti-graffiti laws, if you actually leave the house while in possession of a marker, it can be seen as illegal. Much like spray paint, which can also be illegal to possess if you're out in public, permanent markers can also be used for vandalism. We're unsure if this law applies to every state, but it is definitely in full swing throughout New York, Florida, Oklahoma, and California, where it's also a crime to buy permanent markers for anyone under the age of 18. Although the law is strangely understandable, since the removal of graffiti costs millions of dollars each year in California alone. One example of the anti-graffiti law dates back to 2007, when a reformed ex-graffiti artist from California was arrested numerous times. It's said that he broke his parole several times after the authorities kept finding vandalism tools in his apartment. These so-called tools included stickers, posters, a computer, and you guessed it, permanent markers, which according to the sheriff's office was a clear sign that he had returned to his criminal ways, and not the fact that he was actually making a living selling legitimate art.
1,
Swearing in public. So as it turns out, swearing in public is basically illegal in multiple places and is considered to be disturbing the peace. But this is without a doubt something that almost everyone does, which means, in a way, all of us who can own up to this have broken the law. Just a little. Even though this is probably a regular occurrence for most, there have been some moments where people have gotten in trouble for putting their dirty mouths on public display. One instance involved a Michigan man whose canoe had capsized in the river. Understandably upset, his foul mouth came into play, and he was arrested and convicted for violating an old anti-profanity law. Even would-be renowned rapper 50 Cent can't get away with it. During one of his shows in the Caribbean, he was arrested and fined simply for just swearing during the concert. In the UK, however, a high court judge ruled that people should not be punished for the use of obscenities in public, claiming that such words are so common now they no longer cause distress. The anti-profanity laws are rarely enforced, but like most things, it'll no doubt happen when you least expect it. So maybe it's best to use a little caution next time when you're in public, or else you may be forced to wash your mouth out with some fucking soap. Are you prone to any of these so-called law-breaking activities? If so, have you been caught? Well, be brave and let us know in the comments below.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.